In WoW we have some locations with cities that don't have a full conclusion yet of what will happen to them in the future. One of them is Undercity, we also have Gilneas, and we have Teldrassil. And I have heard rumors that the Forsaken are taking back the Undercity, and it was datamined apparently, so today we are going to have a look at it and talk about this.
Despite all the talks being about Dragonflight and Dragonflight, things are still happening in the Shadowlands with 9.2.5. It is not completely over. We have datamined this info some time ago, but now with interviews and another batch of data mining, we are learning that the Forsaken are mustering their forces in Tirisfal Glades. Sylvanas is gone, Kalia Manatil is returning, and there are some hints that she might become the new leader of the Forsaken. Could this lead to the restoration of Gilneas and the Forsaken retaking of Lordaeron? So
I think that would be so cool lore-wise, and like also in-game, because you can go back there and you don't have to do freaking time walking. Because right now if you want to go to the Undercity, you need to do freaking time walking, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's weird if you take away the capital city of a race and all the other races have one, and then that race doesn't have one. Right now the Worgen, for example, well, you could also say the Goblin, right, with Kazan. What happens there? That's also something that's not with a full conclusion yet. Because, yeah, the volcano erupted and stuff, but wasn't there like a large underground portion? What if the Goblins get like an underground city or something, right? Like, a lot is possible, and then that we get the Undercity back. Maybe Teldrassil will regrow or something, so the Night Elves have something back, or they just make a, I don't know, a new city somewhere, maybe where the runes are or something. Like, there's like a lot they can actually add to make the world even more interesting.
Lordaeron. So what is going on with this new datamined info, and who could be the new ruler of the undead? Are you looking for cheap software like Windows 11 for the best price on the market? Well, Royal City Keys is your best option. Other than software, you can find a bunch of games at amazing prices, and if you use my code DORON, you will get an additional 10% off. So if you want to support the channel and get something for yourself, check out my link in the description or the QR code on the screen. The future of the Forsaken has been up in the air pretty much since BFA, the start when they lost their home, but most importantly when Sylvanas abandoned...
Wait a second, let's go back there. Like, that's the Forsaken that appears in the... Yeah, is that actually bones? That's actually like the newer model, but the fingers are bones if you look closely. That's interesting. I thought like they looked actually quite badass, right, the Forsaken in the cinematics, and they look less skinny. They look like more, very much like a human basically.
The start when they lost their home, but most importantly when Sylvanas abandoned them at the end of the expansion. Now, you gotta realize that this is a really big deal for this race. Sylvanas wasn't just a ruler, just a random person in charge. She was literally their center of culture. Like, you may have noticed how every undead NPC talks about Sylvanas. She gave
they still say
name.
that,
she was
even though
mother
she left.
in a way, and you may know she decided to just use them as tools in her endless wars, and ultimately she just abandoned them. Now, Sylvanas atoned a bit for her sins, but we know 100% she's not returning in this expansion, or that she will not be ruling the Forsaken in any way, shape, or form. Instead,
she can't be trusted anymore.
To Maw to return all the souls she had condemned her. Now, all that is cool and all, but that brings up a really huge mystery. What?
You know what I think about Sylvanas, what will be her fate? I think she will be a character on a break, basically. So we won't see her for like the next expansion. But maybe like one expansion later, or like a certain patch, she will return. I think she's just temporarily gone. That's the same with like Illidan. I feel like Illidan will also return at some point. Like, it's just like there are sometimes characters, the same happens in series, where in one season they are like suddenly gone, like they do something, maybe they go on like a trip to find their inner peace or something, or they have like some important matter to attend to or something, and then they will be gone for like 1 or 2 seasons, just like in some series, right? And then they return. I think this will happen to Sylvanas, but also to Illidan. Like, it just makes sense. And yeah, by the way guys, if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more MMO content.
A really huge mystery. What on earth is going on
Lillian
with the
Voss
Forsaken?
would be a
what
good leader.
Will be their future? They lost their capital city, their home. pretty much the entirety of Tirisfal Glades to the Alliance invasion, and Sylvanas scorching the land with the plague later on, and they also lost their leader. All of us really expected that this would have been solved ages ago, like literally at the start of the Shadowlands, but it looks like Blizzard is finally getting to this part of the story in 9.2.5. Keep in mind, at the moment, information is really all over the place. We have some older and newer bits of Datamined info, but we also have an official interview from Blizzard. According to the interview, Steve the Newser told us that if you have been following the Datamined info, you may have noticed something is going on in Tirisfal Glades, and something is also going on with Kelly Manitil, the sister of Arthas, and you are right. We will be delving into the storylines that affected the Forsaken and those touched by death, and what it has done to their cultures, so keep following for the info. Now, that is the interview, and as you may know, Kelly Manitil is a relatively newly introduced character. Don't get me wrong, she has been in the lore more as a footnote for ages, but only a few years ago we realized that she had survived, and
you know what, I actually hated Sylvanas for like killing her and stuff. Like, I remember her doing like my priest time walking in Legion. Like, she was introduced to me as someone that like helps me out and stuff. She was such a nice and cool character, and the fact that she's Arthur's sister and stuff, I thought she was like such a cool character, and that she just gets killed off and stuff by Sylvanas. Like, there was, let me quickly explain you guys what happened. So there was like this sort of reunion planned where Forsaken could meet with their human relatives or friends, and they wanted to bring the Forsaken with the humans together in a peaceful meeting, basically, right? And Sylvanas, like, she didn't like it at all, and she tried to like actually sabotage it and stuff. And in this kind of situation, then Kalia, she died. She was literally killed by Sylvanas, and then she was raised as a, what do you call this, a light forged Forsaken or something like that. It was very, very weird, because she was like resurrected sort of by the light, but she wasn't alive. She was an undead light Forsaken, basically. It's so weird. Are we getting a new playable race like light forged Forsaken or something? I'm also wondering that in the future. That would be so weird. But maybe those can be freaking paladins or something, so you have a way to have like undead paladins or so.
It's been in the lore more as a footnote for ages, but only a few years ago we realized that she had survived, and she became something really unique, the first ever Lightforged undead, and of course she appeared in the actual game. So while Kalia is an undead, she doesn't really have all that much to do with the Forsaken, nor does she follow their pain and suffering. Kalia joined the Horde and represented the Forsaken on the Horde Council alongside Lillian Voss, and she was actually present in the Shadowlands. You may know because you ran into her now. Lo and behold, just like every character in the Shadowlands, she was about as completely useless as you can get. She pretty much just sat around.
You know how she looks like to me a little bit, except she's not blue. She looks a lot like a Kyrian. Like, if we look at her closely, like, she looks like that's a Kyrian right there, right? If you look at the Kyrian and at her, it's so similar, right? Except for the color. So she became some sort of Kyrian or something.
Useless as you can get. She pretty much just sat around doing nothing. I'm guessing more was planned with her initially, which is why they sent her there, because, you know, Sylvanas abandoned the Forsaken, so she might be the new leader, but nope. None of it happened until this point in 9.2.5, and we still don't really know
think they want her.
Turns out Blizzard is finally deciding that Kelly Manitil has a role to play, and they are actually in.
But one thing, like, I like her as a character, and I would be happy if she was the leader, but there's one thing that is a bit confusing. She doesn't have any connection with the Forsaken in a way, like, except that she's undead, but she didn't like stay with them for like years. Isn't like Lillian Voss a better candidate to lead the Forsaken, because she has been in the faction or race for so long and with them and all? So isn't she like more like, I mean, she's a nice character, and I like, you as a player, you know her from the, if you play a priest, from the Legion Order Hall for the priest, right? But the regular Forsaken NPCs, they don't know anything about her. Maybe they just recently heard about her. Oh, there was someone that's also undead, but this was different. It's a light forged undead, and she's the sister of Arthas. Like, they maybe have heard about her, but they don't really know her that well. And if you have someone that's a stranger, and this person just steps in like, hey, I'm your new leader, I think that's so weird from a lore and story perspective. I think it would make more sense for an already existing character that was maybe, let's say, some sort sort of general like Lillian Voss or something to become a leader. It makes more sense, it's more logical than to introduce our character, just immediately make it the leader. The only thing they could do though is, in the next patch, introduce her to the Forsaken, and you have to do quests with her together in the Forsaken, but she's not the leader. And then after a couple of patches, or like 1-2 expansions later, she becomes the leader. Because this would be, from a lore perspective, more logical, because you give both the Forsaken and Kalia a chance to get to know each other more, right? And then some bond can be forged, and then eventually she can become leader. But if they make her leader immediately, it would be so weird. Like, Blizzard, please don't do that. It's ruining good story.
Introducing her. So what is all this new Datamined info that is brand new and that we have? Now, a lot of it is limited at this point, but we know for a fact that Kelly Manitil will be playing a role. A couple days ago, with the new
she's a
build
pawn
of the 9.2.5 PTR, we also discovered a quest called the Eyes of the Wolf. At the moment, it isn't known what NPC gives the quest or if there are any special requirements, but it is a quest that you can take on an lore boss, so obviously Shadowlands related. The objectives of the quest are that you need to meet up with Kelly Manitil in Brill in Tirisfal Glades, and then you need to speak to a Gilnean Grey Mage for a teleport to the actual location. The quest text says that the Forsaken forces are mustering in Tirisfal Glades, unclear for what purpose, but notably Kalia Manitil has also gone there as well. As this seems to be based for the Alliance, it says you need to disguise yourself and discover what they are up to now that the accursed Banshee no longer unites them. On top of all this new info, you might remember some of the older info, and that is that we received some encrypted, updated maps to Tirisfal Glades, which might signify that something big might be happening there. Additionally, there was also a coordinated scourge attack just a bit north in Quotalas, which may or may not be connected to this entire thing. Now, what does this really mean? Are the Forsaken gathering just for the sake of gathering, or are they planning to attack and to retake their homeland for good?
It would make sense if they
may be aware, Alliance actually won the battle for Lordaeron. Well, kinda won. They managed to scorch most of the land while Sylvanas destroyed the rest with the plague, but the Forsaken did lose their base of power regardless, and the Alliance was successful despite not retaking Lordaeron for themselves. At the same time, we learned that Anduin has actually abandoned the crown and he will more than likely never be king again, which means that Tyrellian is in charge for the foreseeable future. Additionally,
not Tyrellian. He was responsible for torturing people and stuff. Holy shit. Okay, Tyrellian as a king or leader of the Alliance would be a bit strange. Like, he's a badass character, don't get me wrong, but he did do some bad stuff, and he was like, he's actually willing to torture people to get his way and stuff. Like, there's something written, a novel about him, and he actually tortured people and stuff. So I don't think it's good if we have, like, I think the I'm calling him Sunny Boy, like peaceful boy, hippie boy. Like, Anduin is like the most peaceful leader. I think it's better to have a peaceful king.
Foreseeable future. Additionally, Gan Greymane has his eye out for
Anduin, don't do this.
Pretty much the second in command, and he really doesn't like the Forsaken, and he wasn't too happy with the way things turned out with Sylvanas'
Greymane would be a better king though than
on the other hand, Kalia Manitil is actually a lot different from Sylvanas, the Banshee Queen. For one, she doesn't serve some crazy dead god in the Shadowlands, and she's actually a lot more sane.
Yeah, she's a nice character.
She isn't really a Forsaken. She didn't share the fate of the original Forsaken, and many of the undead don't really see her the way they saw Sylvanas, because Sylvanas fell alongside them. She was one of them. She created them. However, this brings us,
and this is the part where I'm thinking, like, would it make sense to make her a leader? She has no connection with the Forsaken. They don't know her so well. Isn't it better to pick someone from within the ranks of the Forsaken? But the only prominent character I can think of is Lillian. This is the only one in the Forsaken that is somewhat famous, right? Yeah, I don't know. Sylvanas is not coming back. Nathanos, I think he's dead, right? Like, some speculate that he's still alive. So it's not Nathanos, it's not Sylvanas. Then who else is like famous within the Forsaken? I only know Lillian. Who else? So yeah, I don't know. They only have Kalia and Lillian to pick. But if you have to choose between those two, who is like in more connection with the Forsaken, it's Lillian.
So the reality is that someone just has to rule over the Forsaken. They can't just be leaderless. At the moment, that is Kalia and Lillian Voss, but that's what the council think. They need a person to actually rule them, and realistically, there aren't really that many.
But Lillian Voss is already stepping in currently. Why can't she just be the freaking leader?
Any options available. Lillian Voss is not exactly a ruler type, so I can't really see her taking over, and Kalia Manitil is, in my opinion, the best option next down the line. While she may not be as easily accepted, seeing that the Forsaken are still hurt that
you need some patches,
them,
quest
they might decide for a better alternative. Additionally, seeing that she's a light forged undead, there might be an entire storyline with that, seeing that we defeated the jailer, the source of this undeath. Maybe some changes to undeath may be happening as we learned about this curse from the actual source. On the other hand, people have also been speculating that the war is coming, and I really don't think that is the case. I mean, Blizzard confirmed there won't ever be a new BFA type conflict, and the factions are really not in the shape to go to a big war again. Plus, we already kind of united as we got Frost faction grouping, and we will be going together to the Dragon Isles in Dragonflight. So, in my opinion, the most realistic solution is that it might be some type of a diplomatic meeting, some type of a diplomatic event. Seeing that the storyline with Sylvanas is kind of over, the Forsaken may be looking to start living peacefully, and the Alliance has been exposed to undeath and now the source of it, so they may be a bit more tolerant of the Forsaken. So it is entirely possible that this might be some type of a diplomatic meeting where there could be an exchange of territories. For example, the undead allow the restoration of Gilneas and the Worgen get their homeland back, while the Forsaken are allowed to return to Tirisford.
Yeah, they should do some diplomatic matter like that. That's a good idea. Like, hey, you know what, Alliance, we want Undercity back. But in exchange, you get Gilneas. How about that? We both get 2 of our cities back. I think that would make sense.
Glades and to rebuild their own home.
Oh, Worgen City.
Thank you for watching. Check out all the new race class combos by clicking on the screen, and check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. Thanks so much, Doron, for like providing this information, the data mining. That's like interesting to see that there is in fact like some sort of direction that Blizzard is going, where they are considering to really like give us the Undercity back. And why would they have like some quests that take place in this area and stuff like? And it's something that doesn't have like a final conclusion. Like I said, that's the same with freaking Gilneas. If you like level up Worgen and you do like the starting quest line, I think the starting quest line, like the way the story is written, the way it feels, it is such a nice ratio starting quest line. I loved leveling up a Worgen. It was so fun doing this. But you're like basically fighting against the Forsaken, then you take like some sort of portion or like the border of Gilneas sort of back, but you never really get into the city. Like I feel like this was like cut out or something. Like it felt to me so incomplete, the storyline, the beginning of the Worgen. Like, we are so close to the gates, it seems like we are taking back Gilneas, but then we get sort of like interrupted, then we end up in freaking Teldrassil as refugees at the place where the Night Elves are, then we joined the Alliance and stuff, but it was like so weird because it was like so, it felt so unfinished, it felt like cut out, like, hey, we are at A, we go to B, but wait, where is C? Like, it was so weird. Like, I hope we do get like some more quests in Gilneas and we can take Gilneas back as well for the Alliance, and that the Forsaken get a new Undercity, and one that's like more modern. Like, what I mean by more modern is there's like more decorations. Like the other day I went to High Mountain, and if I look into the tents of like the High Mountain Torrent, they look way more modern, less pixelated, more decorated than, for example, the tents in freaking Thunder Bluff. So I think it's cool if we get the Undercity back with like new textures and stuff like that, like a modern Undercity, and Gilneas becomes a city for the Alliance, for the Worgen. That would be so lit. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section about it. It does look promising. I like this, and we could really get the Undercity back. That would be great. And yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time.